You know that feeling, right? The dead silence of an exam hall, that immense pressure of a final grade hanging over you. Well, what if I told you that our entire approach to testing might be, well, outdated? Today, we're going to explore a much better, more effective way to figure out what students are actually learning.
I mean, really think about it. Can one single high-stakes test truly capture months of learning? All that creativity, all that critical thinking? Or is it just a test of how well you can handle stress? That's the huge question we're diving into today. So to even start finding a better answer, we've got to go back to square one. We need to rethink what evaluation is even supposed to mean in the first place.
Okay, so check out this quote. The key word here, the one that changes everything, is continuous. See, evaluation wasn't ever meant to be this one-off thing at the very end. Nope. The idea is that it's supposed to be woven right into the fabric of teaching and learning. It's something that's happening all the time.
All right, so if the old model of one-and-done testing is broken, what's the fix? Well, there's a framework built specifically around this idea of continuous evaluation, and it's called the CCE framework.
CCE, that stands for Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation. And really, the name kind of says it all, right? Continuous means it's happening throughout the year, not just crammed into a stressful exam week. And comprehensive, that means it's looking at the whole picture. We're talking everything from academic smarts to practical skills, attitudes, you name it.
And the goals here, they're so important. CCE is all about developing the whole student. You've got cognitive skills, that's your thinking. Psychomotor skills, that's the physical stuff. And even affective skills, their emotional intelligence. The whole point is to move away from just memorizing facts for a test. Instead, evaluation becomes a tool to actually help students learn better, not just slap a grade on them.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This is real stuff. The CCE system, for example, was introduced in India to assess not just your usual academic subjects, but all the co-scholastic areas too. Things like sports, arts, music. It is truly about looking at the whole person. So what's the biggest win here? One of the most important results of this whole approach is just less stress. Think about it. It helps reduce that incredible, overwhelming anxiety that builds up around finals. When evaluation is just a regular, low-stakes part of the school year, learning can stop being so scary and actually become engaging.
Okay, so how does this actually work day to day? Well, CC is basically built on two main pillars of assessment, formative and summative. Let's break down what those mean. So first up is formative assessment. This is really the continuous part of CCE we've been talking about. The absolute best way to get it is to think of a coach during practice. A coach doesn't just sit there silently and then give you a score at the end of the season, right? Of course not. They're giving you constant feedback, tweaking your technique, helping you get better step by step. That is formative assessment. Then you've got summative assessment. And if formative is the practice, then summative is the big championship game. It's that final evaluation that, well, it sums up your performance after all the hard work is done. This is your final exam, your big end-of-unit test, the grade on your final project. So let's put them side by side. Formative is all about the journey. It's ongoing, it's about figuring out what needs work, and it's meant to be helpful, not scary. Summative, on the other hand, is the destination. It happens at the end, it gives you a final score, and yeah, it's usually pretty high stakes. Now, a good system really needs both, but what's key about CCE is that it puts way more weight on the formative, practice, and feedback side of things.
And check this out. Look at all the different tools a teacher has for formative assessment. This is so much more than just a pop quiz. We're talking debates, group discussions, big projects, heck, even just a teacher jotting down notes about a student's progress. It's super flexible, super dynamic.
And this is the real game changer for the student. Formative assessment isn't something that's just done to you. It's something you're a part of. It creates this awesome feedback loop where you get to look at your own work, get advice, and actually improve. It's all about growth, not just getting a grade. Okay, that's the theory. It all sounds great on paper, right? But let's get practical. How does all this, especially the formative feedback part, actually play out in a real classroom? Let's take a tricky one. How do you assess something complex like language skills? So here's a question for you. How can a teacher really know if a student is a good reader? Seems simple enough, but the way we've traditionally tried to answer this, well, it might be all wrong. You probably know the scene. The teacher picks a student, asks them to stand up, and read a paragraph out loud in front of everyone. I'm sure most of us have been there. But does that really tell us if they understood what they just read?
Well, the truth is, reading aloud is actually a pretty flawed test. For one, a student could be an amazing reader but just get nervous and stumble over their words. But here's the bigger issue. It's not an authentic assessment. I mean, think about it. In real life, when do you ever read out loud just to prove you can say the words? You read to get information, to follow directions, or just for fun. There's always a purpose.
And that leads us right to the solution, which is a huge part of good formative evaluation. It's called authentic assessment. The idea behind it is super simple. If you want to see if someone can actually use a skill in the real world, then you need to give them a real-world task to do.
Yeah, the whole point is that the test has to mirror how we actually use information in our day-to-day lives. It's not about just spitting back facts you memorized. It's about taking what you know and using it to get something done, to achieve a real goal. Let me give you a perfect, super clear example for, say, listening skills. Instead of making a student just repeat a sentence they heard, try this. Have them listen to an actual weather report. And their test? Simple. Decide what to wear for the day. If they pick out a raincoat because the forecast said showers, boom! They've just demonstrated real understanding in a totally practical and authentic way.
So let's leave you with this final thought. The way we test our students doesn't just measure their learning. It actively shapes it. You know, if all our tests are about memorization, then that's what students will focus on. But if we start testing for creativity, for problem solving, for real-world application, then that's what they'll strive for. So the question really is, what kind of future are we building with the tests we give today?